as Eli Manning stays on his feet. It is caught by Tyree.
Welcome to Catch the Moment podcast. I'm your host, David Tyree, back for another exciting episode. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I listen, every week I'm excited, but this week this is something really special because we got two legends at the table. Excited to have three-time Stanley Cup champion, Kenneth Daneyko. What's going on, brother?
How are you, David? Great to be with you, man. Bro. I remember the catch, believe me. I'm a sports junkie, and I've been in Jersey a long, long time, so I love it. I rooted for all my local teams, but...
Bro, you know I'm coming for your story on the catch, but, dude, you come to Jersey in 1982. I'm born in 1980, and you are part of, the whole story of the New Jersey Devils, which is crazy because I'm a New Jersey native. So this is, bro, you are New Jersey royalty on a whole nother level. So I'm gonna ask you, bro. So where were you? Give me any of your story or your memories when the helmet catch actually happened in 08.
I had retired in 2003.
Nice.
And
that was the year I got drafted too. Me and David drafted.
And I know David very well.
Yeah.
Great guy. So I'm blessed, man, over the years, get to meet other athletes. Like I said, I'm a sports junkie, whether it was the Giants or Jets or football or Mets or Yankees.
Yeah.
You do a lot of stuff over the years together in the summers in charity, but whatever it may be, or a golf outing. So met a lot of you guys. I love it. And I'm still like a little kid when I meet certain athletes. I really am. Just because I find it a privilege, and I just have so much interest in hearing, me watching afar their accomplishments, but then to hearing some stories along the way. But for me, the catch, after I retired, and I retired as Stanley Cup champion, no better way to go out. I was getting older. Your role diminishes a little, but I was in and out of the
20
playoff
years,
lineup, but I got
good.
Back into Game 7, hoisting the cup. I knew my career's over. You can't go out any better way. So I retired, obviously stayed with the organization, which I'm very grateful for. Doing the broadcast, doing anything they asked me in the community. I've been there a long time. But I became kind of a cigar aficionado. That was kind of from celebrating with cigars winning championships. That's kind of what happened. So I'm in this, found this place in Summit, New Jersey, Flores Tobacconist, that I still am a member today, go today.
Nice.
All big, diehard Giants fans.
Yeah.
And I was with all those guys hooting and hollering.
Going crazy.
During your incredible, unbelievable catch when you guys won the
So the place was lit up.
Yeah, the place was lit up.
Smoked out, lit up.
Smoking cigars, guys jumping around, high-fiving.
That's
wild. It was quite a moment. Like, for me, it's almost like even having been in some of those moments and winning championships and having big things happen, it's almost like you're there, because you can really absorb it. So I absorbed your catch, David. Trust me, it was pretty incredible.
Bro,
maybe even more so than I know fans. That's what it's about. They love it, but I'm like, I feel it.
You feel that? Well, listen, man. I think that's the whole point. You feel it at a whole nother level. So, bro, and you got a great just humility. You've evolved as a professional, as an icon, in so many different ways through your experience and career. Like I said, for me as a Jersey boy, this is special. But
I'm a transplant of Jersey, and that's how I preface it, even if it's proper English. People know I love for it here. You can't say anything bad about Jersey. I grew up here. This is my world. I came at 18 years old.
They stepchild us a little bit in New York. You've been around enough to know we get stepchild a little bit.
People know how I feel about this state.
Nice.
And as a New Jersey Devil, and nobody knew much about hockey back when I came in '82. They knew. They rooted for that team across the river. If they're hockey fans, and understandably so.
Of course.
But we wanted to make the state proud, and we were terrible when I started. And I was just wanted to be part of the answer, part of the solution. Everybody thinks, "Do you want to be on a better team?" Do I go, "No." I said, "I want to be here. I want to go through the tough times because I know how gratifying the good times will be." I kept telling everybody, trust me, we're going to be something someday.
Legendary.
Did I believe it? How much? I don't know. But you could Everybody used to hear it. The reporters would hear me say it. Star Ledger, when the paper back then.
Star Legend.
I'd tell them, I go, we're going to be something someday. They used to laugh at me, I think. We became something. We won 3 Stanley Cups.
3 Stanley Cups is
and
a
I was
whole
grateful
lot.
to still be here because you usually get traded when you get good.
That's true. Whole lot of. All right, so you got a lot of moments to hang on. And like I said, not to detach anything from your life, but what would you say is your defining moment, your signature moment, your favorite moment?
Wow, Dave, that is a tough one because there are so many great moments. I mean, the obvious is winning the first Stanley Cup.
Sure.
Because
and what year was that again?
Remind me. 1995.
Okay.
And, I'd been through a lot. I first 5 years, our team was a bottom feeder. We were terrible. So to still be on the team and turn in the corner in 88, that was a huge moment because it's yes, you're celebrating. That's a dream. The first dream is to get drafted. That's the great moment.
Nice.
I was in my kitchen. I've told this story many times, but I'll just
give it to me.
I'll fast track it. So the first moment's always being drafted. We all dream of getting drafted,
of
right?
course.
In sports, whatever sport we're playing,
No
football,
doubt.
me and hockey. So the draft's in June 28th. In the summer, I'm home in my hometown, Edmonton, Alberta, where I grew up, Western Canada, where hockey was a religion.
No doubt.
There was 10 Ken Daneykos in every corner, so it wasn't like, I was a pretty good player, and then in juniors, I was a pretty good player, but you get drafted at 18 now in hockey, so it's a little bit of a younger man's game.
That
was my draft year. I knew, I felt I was going to get drafted, but I'm cautious optimistic. Never thought I was going to go real high. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Just draft me, man.
Just draft me.
So I get a call early morning. It's in Montreal. It's the same time zone as New Jersey.
Okay.
So it's 2 hours later there. My mom, who's passed on since then, my little petite mother, 5'1", who was just such a big supporter of mine. About 8:40 in the morning, she calls me down to the kitchen. She says, Kenny, get up, and says, I'm out. I'm sleeping. I'm groggy. I went out for a beverage or two the night before the draft with my brother, older brother, just to take the tension off. And I looked at the clock with one eye winking, and I go, Mom, it's way too early. She goes, Kenneth. I knew when she said Kenneth, she was serious.
There it is.
Come down.
Full name.
Take this call. I go, hello, I'm all groggy. Congratulations, Ken. We've just drafted you 18th overall. I was like, there was 21 teams at the time, so I'm going in the first round. And I was not ranked to go there. I was not supposed to be anywhere near the first round. So I was waiting for the third round, maybe I'd get drafted. So I'm going, what did they see in me? Like I'm going, but I dropped the phone. I'm in tears. Like I'm going, Mom, you're not going to believe this.
That's special.
I just got drafted 18th overall. My mom goes, my mother, who, nice Catholic lady, never swear her in life. She goes, you got to be bleeping. Swear to God. My mother,
I love it.
She was like beside herself because I told her every day, 10 times a day, I'm going to play in the National Hockey League. Now, this is the first step getting drafted. So my mother looks at me and goes, well, ask who it is. I didn't ask the team. I didn't care. I pick up the phone. We're just hysterical.
You didn't even care. Going crazy.
I go, yeah, by the way, who is this? They go, it's New Jersey. They didn't have a team name yet. So it hadn't even picked a team name yet.
It's not even registered.
Colorado. Not even registered.
No name, bro.
Then I covered no name. They're going to have a vote in the Star Ledger, the paper, on what the team's name is going to be. I cover the phone again. I go, Mom, where's New Jersey? I had no idea. And I've told this many, many times, David, but it never gets old because it was true. It was real. And I would have ran the 2,000 miles that it was to get my opportunity.
That's
in New Jersey,
bro.
Whatever, which became the Devils.
That's right,
giving me my opportunity to fulfill a dream. So I was elated. I just really didn't know where it was. I knew it was near the big city and whatnot, but I'd really never been around here.
Man, that's fantastic.
And it was just a great moment. So that's a great moment. 88, we made the playoffs for the first time.
Crazy
Last
moment.
game of the year, we hadn't made the playoffs for first 5 years, 6 years of our existence.
Of course.
Made it in 88. It was kind of turning point of the organization that we're going to finally maybe become something. Doesn't mean you're going to win. We thought we'd win.
Of course.
And we carried that, winning we went 7-0-1 our last 8 games.
Sure.
And 1 in Chicago in overtime just to make the playoffs. We were the last seed. We beat the first seed. We beat the set. We ended up going to the Eastern Conference Finals, so we carried that momentum.
Oh, crap.
So that was when we beat the New York Islanders, who were number 1 seed. We beat the Washington Capitals, and then we met the Boston Bruins, Eastern Conference Finals, to go to the Stanley Cup Championship. We never in the playoffs. We got a chance to go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow.
And we lost in 7 games, best of 7. Bro. So we acquitted ourselves very well. That was a moment I'll never, like, you know, I'm going all over because I'm talking about a lot of good moments. And we started with
that's all good. That's all good.
But those are the first things. The draft, then 88 when we won in Chicago. Anybody that watches that video and fans, old-time fans of the Devils, still love it as much as maybe the Cup. We celebrated like we won the Cup in Chicago because we didn't know how to react. We never made the playoffs. We never done. Our group of guys were so special that we just knew we were finally going to be playing games that mattered. And we all threw our gloves in the air. And you know what? The Chicago fans, which I loved, it was in Chicago Stadium where the Bulls play, where the Blackhawks play. The fans were clapping for us. Like they were looking. We've never seen a team in the regular season throw their mitts like they'd won the. But it was real. It was surreal.
It was an embracing moment for the whole league,
for the and our
of course
franchise.
the franchise.
And we carried that. Like it wasn't like we were just happy to be playoffs. We beat two teams higher than us in the standings.
Hell yeah, y'all
those,
came
in a roundabout way, those are the three probably greatest moments at the time. Don't get me wrong, 2000, 2003, we won the Stanley Cup again. I'm blessed to win 3 times. And
damn, bro,
you know, some guys never win their career, but those first moments, the draft, 88, and then the first Cup were incredible.
No, I love it. I like the package deal. I'll take every bit of it. I'll take every bit of it. You know I love it in threes. You know what I'm saying?
And I happen to be number 3.
This dude is everything right here. So like that's really profound to me because, you know, not just your story, your arrival. I mean, everything about you is like alpha and omega. You start with the grassroots. When obviously they moved from Winnipeg,
Colorado Rockies, they were called at the time.
Wow, okay,
and
so
they were terrible too. So we knew when at the time as far as the on ice product.
Yeah,
our late great owner, Dr. John McMullen, who treated me like a son. I was his first pick. He just embraced me. I was family right away, and I'm forever indebted to him because I was family to him right away, and he was just the greatest owner ever. And you know, we'll move on. We got a few other owners, and they're still incredible. And
taking care of you.
And Harris have been wonderful to us alumni and embracing the history and what we're all about and the championships. But our first owner, John McMullen, was like I said, a second father to me. And
that's special.
I'm lucky because I don't take that for granted. You realize now after you're retired, 5, 10, 15 years removed from playing days.
Yeah. Everybody got different experiences. He didn't treat me like a piece of meat. Like I went through a lot of ups and downs. I played my off for him on the ice. Yeah,
he appreciated that. He
busted your behind, bro.
If I was having trouble away from the rink, which I did, it's publicly documented. He was there for me through thick and thin. So awesome. I love the man. And
that's the reason why I actually have similar affections for the Giants because I come in 03. I'm the wild kid from East Orange, Montclair. I'm loaded everywhere. I'm coming into practice, smelling like a brewery, and then I get arrested on marijuana possession after my rookie year. And now, Tom Coughlin, you probably know some of the story, his demeanor and all that.
Kind of like my boss for Lou Lamoriello, who was a very disciplined
bro. It could have. Like they didn't have to keep me. I gave him hell as a rookie. I gave the league hell. But they didn't have to keep me. They could have just.
I can relate so much.
So I'm with you, bro. We got the same story.
Stick with us through thick and thin.
Because, it means something.
And I realize all now, and I say this humbly, and I'm sure you could correlate your story as well, that they knew my heart.
Yeah.
They knew my heart was in the right place.
Especially.
Yeah, was I a wild child at times? Was I doing things I shouldn't be doing? Absolutely.
We all
my owner was, even with Lou, he'd take him aside and say, he says, with Kenny, I've got a lot longer leash. Lou goes, I should trade him right now. And me and Lou laugh about it now. He's still general manager, 80 years old of the New York Islanders now. But he was instrumental in my career, obviously. Yeah. But they battle, and the owner was just, like I said, he was sticking by me. He says, this guy plays his butt off for me. Bro. He was my first pick. But Lou saw it too. It's this. They saw this. They saw the character.
And that's what's special.
Even though I deserved all the negative stuff.
It could have came with some judgment. We could have lost some opportunity.
The scolding they gave me, I was trying to say. I deserved it. And when I look back, but kids, they stuck with me, and I'm grateful.
Kids, bro. You were a kid who became a man.
Yeah.
And like I said,
learning along the way.
Daggone right. But that's the whole point. That's the reason why what makes you so dynamic. That's the reason why you are Mr. Devil himself. Like when because I'm not watching the game, I'm like, I've heard your name for years. I've heard your name for like decades. And I'm like, well, what did he do? And then I look at you, I'm like, damn, he did a lot. So this dude is the alpha and the mega. You're actually, because I'm a strong man of faith. I'm like, this is the only devils that get a chance to come in my house is New Jersey Devils. There's the only devils that come in my house is New Jersey Devils.
I
baby.
tell everybody I'm a New Jersey Devil through and through, and it's tattooed on my heart, the Devil logo. But just the emblem of the Devils. I'm an angel at heart now.
That's it, baby. That's it, brother. But that's everybody wants the man that can go through the furnace. So who are the people? Like you said, you've already dropped a couple names. Mm-hmm. But when you think about your life and your journey, even as a man, who were the people that really helped to shape some of your temperament and your mindset? Because really, it's your mindset. You were a savage, but you could show up to work and give your team your best.
Yeah, I always say, and people say you don't give yourself enough credit at times, I hear, but I wasn't the most talented. I know what I was. I was talented as a youngster, pretty talented junior, but to get to the National Hockey, no different, you playing college ball, but to be a real good, to be as good as you were in college and NFL, a lot of guys, you can't translate everything. You have to find a role. Because I had some offense in juniors. I was a tough kid, which intimidation was a big part of hockey back then, way more so in my era, and it was what it was.
That's right.
Gone with the times. Now the game's changed a little bit. But so toughness was going to get my foot in the door, but I had a little pretty good offense. I wanted to do a lot, but I understood that you have to find a definitive role. And I was told Lou Lamoriello, who was I'd already played 4 or 5 years. I was just getting my feet wet, but I was in the farm team as well, going up and down, and I wanted to play so bad. I wore my emotions on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Guys in the organization knew I'd run through a brick wall to play. And that was the emotion on and off the ice. It was go, go, go all the time.
Love it.
But Lou kind of came in, a no-name, but really he was big in Providence College, athletic director, coached baseball, hockey there.
Yeah.
And what I love about the late, great John McMullen, the owner at the time, he recognized, nobody knew much about Lou. He didn't bring in this experienced general manager from the National Hockey League from 10
no resume.
He knew he had to turn the culture around, the direction of the team. We were getting close because we were drafting good players.
Sure.
But now it's about putting it all together. This guy, Lou Lamoriello, comes in. Who's Lou Lamoriello? Coming from Providence. Nobody knows because usually it's the guy you know. The second he came in, he struck the fear of God in everybody. You could see it. Like he just had that presence. You don't teach that. He was the presence of, you better listen to this guy. You better respect this guy. He's a no-nonsense guy. You felt it. Like he didn't have to earn it. We just, as soon as he came in, I'm like, when you mentioned Tom Coughlin, I was going to say the exact same thing. Very similar, but, and Lou Lamoriello was that guy that, tough as nails, he would, discipline you a lot, but had your back and loyal. If you were loyal to the team, if he believed in you, loyal as hell. Some people thought he was just no-nonsense. You do something, you're out. Because he'd exile guys for a lot less than I did, I'd say.
No doubt.
But he knew this. He knew the heart. And
special.
so he was a big guy. But early in my life, my brother, I have a 5-year-old brother that played hockey, but never, got past midget, even to get the junior level, wasn't talented enough.
Yep.
But he was a ferocious tiger, and he was smaller than me when I became 15, 16. So we used to go in my basement. My brother he saw something in me. He knew I had potential to take it further than he did.
Nice.
And so we'd go in the basement with hockey gloves on, helmets. That's when you wore no mask. I was a kid from like 11 years old on, and he was 5 years older than me. And we'd box in the basement. And he
straight like that.
Like crazy. Like just no nonsense. Loved each other, but that's what you did then. And he was toughening me up. And he'd always beat me. My mother would tell him to stop. I'd come up with a bloody nose. I'd come up with marks on me. I turned 15 years old. We go in the basement. I hammered him. I smoked him in the nose. I felt terrible. I broke his nose. Now I was getting bigger. My brother, you know what? He was tough as nails. He stopped right there. He says, "We're done." He says, "We're never fighting again." He was smirking. He knew. I even heard him a little bit. He goes, "So I want to see. I wanted you just to never quit."
Bringing that pit bull out.
Yeah, I know it's an old school mentality, but that was a long time ago.
I value that.
He was so instrumental in making me tough, just mentally, physically. But when he knew it was over because he knew I was getting too big and strong.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So big shout out to those two, because you said something that actually
my brother's name.
Yeah, big shout out, Pete. So you said something that was powerful, because I think people can easily miss this in life, because sport is just a metaphor of life. Mm-hmm. You said finding a defining role. You knew that, like. So at what point, when was that turning point, whether it was Lou and those other guys, like, what was that turning point in your career where you like, I'm just going to be that boy dog enforcer, and it began to shine?
Well, here, look, the old saying, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. And junior, I had some offense. I had toughness. I could play defense. So I was a pretty well-rounded player.
Yep.
Get to the NHL. To be an offensive player in the NHL you had to have elite, special talent. Sure. You don't know that at the time, and I had a little bit of it when I was younger in my career, but I'd played 4 or 5 years, but I was up and down the minors. So Lou Lamoriello, and I've told this story a million times, but it never gets old. So his first year, I'm getting on the second power play unit a little bit because one of our guys was injured. A guy named Bruce Driver, who's still around the organization, very talented, skilled player, more finesse.
Sure.
He missed 4 games because of injury, so they got me on the second power play unit, which means you got more opportunity offensively.
Sure.
Well, I happened to have a little success. I had 4 points in 4 games. Bruce comes back, I'm off the power play. So I'm grumpy. I'm at practice. I wore my emotion on my sleeve, like I said. And Lou Lamoriello goes, Kenny, come to my office after practice. He goes, something's bothering you. He knew exactly what was bothering me. I don't know at the time. And he, like I said, an intimidating guy, but I was always the guy ready to challenge him. And even when I was wrong, and that was most of the time, I went to his office and go, Lou, I had so much success in the power play, 4 points in 4 games, and now I'm not in the power play. And he says, Kenny, sit down. He says, I liken my team to an orchestra. In order to make beautiful music, everybody has to play their instrument to a T. There's no word of a lie. Exactly how he said it. He goes, there's violinists, there's pianists, there's drummers. Now he gets a little angry. What category you think you fall in there? Now I'm pissed too. I get up. I throw the chair. Like I'm going, yeah, but because I'm maybe not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I know exactly where he's going. And I go, I'm a drummer, meaning I'm in the trenches guy. He goes, exactly, you're a drummer. Bruce Driver's a power play guy. He's more of a finesse guy. He's that guy. He says, but by the way, he says, you master that. I throw the chair. I'm ready to walk out. I'm angry because I want to do everything.
It's not working
But
your
I was
way.
Smart enough I'm ready to shut the door. And he calmly folds his arms and goes, Kenny, you master that drum, you're going to play 15 years in this league. You want to be a violinist, I'll call 15 teams around the league and see if they need a violinist. Man. I slammed the door, took it to heart, and really absorbed it. And I go, it makes sense. Like he didn't care if I scored. If you get one, great. It's fun for the team, fun for me, but it's a bonus. I'm there to kill penalties, defend teammates, scrap once in a while, block shots, do all the dirty work. Jeez. But it got through to me. I listened to him because I would have been out of the league in 5-6 years because if I wanted to do everything, if I was trying to do too much, it takes away from the role I can excel at that level in the National Hockey League. So
this is
a lot of guys. I always wondered, guys I played junior against going, you're so absorbed in your own life and your own career while you're playing. I'm all going, what happened to that guy? He only played like a year and a half. He played 2 years. He was so damn good. He was way better than me in junior. And when 5-10 years after my career and I retired, I go, I get it now. He says, because everybody, it's easier said than done. You have to listen. You have to absorb. Lou pounded it in my head. You're going to have a good career, Kenny, if you simplify it to what is going to make you successful here. You can't do it all because it's going to take away from, because you're not talented enough offensively, and it's going to take away from what you can really do well. And that's defense and everything. So fantastic. I retire and fast forward the story. Lou still tells the story to youngsters today and asks me, Kenny, can I tell the story? He loves it. He says, I use the Ken Daneyko story because I was the first guy he used it on in the pro level. He says, Kenny, I've been using it for years. And I said, Lou, I love
20
it. I
years.
said, because so I retired in 2003. We have a press conference, announced my retirement. Lou's there, and I turned to Lou, and I go, this is going to be an inside joke. People won't understand this. I said, just to piss Lou off, I played 20 years. Lou chuckled. He knew exactly what he was talking about. Because he said I was going to play 15. But I said, I'm forever grateful because he instilled in me, you got to find a role for yourself. And that's why huge. I stayed on one team for so long. That's why I played as long as I did.
Yeah.
If I didn't, I know for a fact I would have been out of the league sooner than later because I couldn't do everything.
But this is a this is a life lesson.
That's not just
you got to get good at something.
Yes, not
you
just
gotta
sports.
get good at something. Yeah, like and actually that's what actually fuels your confidence when you know, like, you know what, I'm the best at this. When I came into the league, I wasn't like, you know, most people don't come into the league like, oh, I'm gonna play special teams. I'm like, hell does that?
I'm gonna catch touchdowns. Yeah. I know.
It's like, but the funny thing was I had the same struggle in college, so that's why I ended up playing special teams. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit on the bench and just wait my turn. I'm gonna go block a punt. I'm gonna find a way to fill the stat sheet. So my mind was like, man, I gotta win somehow.
So true.
You know, it's just crazy how that ended up being the avenue for me. And I'm like, well, this is the way that I can actually play in the National Football League. So you got to get good at something, man. All right, so this is crazy. Let me get into a little bit of your life because there's always the lifestyle, right? Like your dynamic force in your career. When I think about, like, to me, what intrigues me the most is the as you said, the physical toughness, the mental toughness. Obviously, you talked about your brother shaping that. What were some of the, like, you know, when I think about adversity, maybe it's some of the dark days, some of those waning moments that no one wants to see, no one maybe doesn't even want to talk about until it's over. What could that look like for Ken Daneyko through your years and experience?
Oh gosh, I mean, my joke is the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area chewed me up and spit me out a lot away from the rink because bright lights, big city, big state, everything. I mean, I'm coming from a Western Canada, smaller town.
Of course.
You know, hockey was, like I said, a religion. It was everything, and I was no different. I lived, ate, slept, drank it. But yeah, I was a gregarious, wild kind of person that played my butt off on the ice.
Yeah.
And when I learned what was out there, I wanted to play off the ice as well. And, you know, I went, and like I said, it's public knowledge. I went through ups and downs. I had a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, and
was it all alcohol? Did you?
Alcohol was my thing, but everybody. But
you coming through the '80s, it was you know, it was cocaine in the '80s.
Yeah. Everybody indulges in a little bit. Alcohol was hockey.
Yeah.
It was
that's
but don't get me wrong. I'm not naive enough to say we all didn't.
Trust me, bro.
Not to get too deep
we was
into
out
that.
Here,
but alcohol.
We're not going to glorify it. But we moving.
But alcohol was the thing. Now. I joke with friends now. I've been sober 11 years, and I'll get back to the little first part of the story. And I can go out anywhere because I'm comfortable in my own skin now. I wasn't with my buddies to drink. I said, like, are you sure we can have beer around here? This is first few years, and even later, as I go, guys, I spilt more than you drank. It's over. It's not part of my life anymore because I can't. I said I wanted to be a good professional drinker. Sure. I was for a lot of years.
I was a pro at this.
I was a pro, but once I crossed that line, I always said and it's addiction. People don't. Addiction is addiction.
It is.
And once I became a pickle, I couldn't become a cucumber again. I tried many times because I wasn't a one-time winner. But during my career, I didn't know, maybe 10 years of into my career, I was like always questioning myself, going, you know what, you got to grab hold of this. You're a little out of control.
Yeah.
You're going out too much. You like the nightlife. I love the nightlife. That was me. I wasn't a guy sitting at home sneaking a drink at home, or
no, you was out here in the streets.
I had to be in the action. I had to be in the. But I didn't realize how it started to take hold of my life.
What was your most memorable experience? Even if it was a wild night, what was your most memorable experience?
There's so many good ones.
Give me one. Give me one. I gotta have one.
I had tequila shots with Sean Penn at the China Club. I thought it was the coolest thing ever in the '80s. He wouldn't remember. He wouldn't even know who I am. I remember because I'm a little kid from Edmonton, Alberta, maybe played 3 years in the league. And I was Monday night was the big China Club night. And they love the hockey guys too, but there's always actors there or other athletes. And
it's crazy.
So that was one of my big moments. You know, I went to LA. I was hanging out with Rob Lowe and all. Was
that 80s, early 90s?
Mid 80s.
Oh, Rob Lowe in the 80s.
Crazy, doing crazy stuff. Like I said, a lot of those guys won't remember. I remember because I had a late night with them.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not to throw names out. Right? We've all done fun.
Listen, bro,
but I was like a little kid, like, you know, and so I was like enamored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they like to have fun. I like to have fun. They enjoyed hanging around other athletes or whatever it may be. There's a lot of other guys, but those are a couple of the memories of some crazy times that.
But you overcame them, man.
Overcame it, well, and it was fun. Don't get me wrong, Dave. A lot of it was fun, but a lot of it became a lot of turmoil in my life.
So, and what was that breaking point? Was there, like I said, was there a point where somebody got hurt that you didn't want to get hurt? Because that was a role of alcohol. I hurt people. Like I never intentionally hurt people. Yeah. Like you're not trying to intentionally hurt people, but whether it was my wife today, she survived me. I tell you, she survived me through college, right? Like, as most people, sometimes there's some casualties. So share that part. And what was that breaking point? Because thank God we got Ken Daneyko, the man today.
Oh, man, you know what? Because the Devils organization was such a part of me and a foundation, and they'd stuck with me forever. But look, I mean, obviously, you don't see it when my kids were little. Sure. And I was there, and my family was everything, but I'm still, you don't realize the damage you're doing. You don't realize they know at a young age, 10, 11, Dad's nightlife's crazy. He's not as home as much. He's, and you don't realize it at the time, no matter what. You're living in a fantasy world. I'm providing for my family. I'm having fun. But after my career, after not having to be in shape as much, so I went a little wild again. Yeah. And I'm like, until it's going to be, I'm going to give it the old kick at the can, because I was sober off and on during my career. Yeah. And, had some success with it, but what curbed it was my career because it was so important to me. You know Absolutely. What I mean? Forgetting family's everything, but it's still, and I adored my kids.
It's an addiction. Family, it's real.
But it was addiction. The nightlife took over at times. And I didn't know how much they know till they know now. Then after my career, went a little crazy. And then I had a turning point where, I know you're I'm very spiritual, very into faith. I had an aha moment. I was scared something 2006 was going to happen bad. And then I curbed it. And then my last little hurrah was 2009. Mm-hmm. Started drinking in the afternoon, was just starting the night because ready to go to New York City. Go a little crazy. Got into a little trouble. I don't want to get into the details of the trouble.
No problem.
Which I thought was going to be the worst night of my life, turned out to be the greatest blessing in the world because something happened to me that day. I was on the cusp of thinking I'm going to lose it all. Yeah. Saying they're only going to put up with so much, whether it's the Devils organization, whether it's my family, whether it's my kids, and whether it's my livelihood, everything. Something happened, and I had that aha moment, that spiritual awakening. Yeah, no, it was real. Mine, Dave, I ain't getting too deep into it. Mine was a day later after being a little depressed and going, I'm not happy with it, drinking. I'm not happy without it. I'm in the middle. Like I'd already committed to myself saying, I'm playing Russian roulette. I can curb it at times because I was giving in. Because I'd been
surrender,
sober,
bro.
And I couldn't. But then finally, this moment, and God puts everything
in due time
for a reason. And I'm a believer in that because this incident that I'm talking about I had a dream that he spoke with. I was spoken to from the standpoint that spiritual way. My spiritual way was he says somebody spoke to me, and I will say it's God for me.
Listen, brother, you talking to a spiritual man. I believe God is alive and speaks, intervenes.
This happened to me, and I don't say it much. You're the first podcast I've said this on, but it was 2 nights after being depressed and going, if I don't quit, I'm going to either kill myself, somebody else, or I'm going to ruin my life completely, which I'd already had potholes and things were going downhill in certain areas. And it was like, I woke up that day and vividly heard in that, I thought it was a dream, and it vividly heard 2 strikes. You got 2 strikes against you. The third one, you're out. Wow. And it was real. I woke up the next day, kind of revitalized, going, I'm not drinking anymore. Told my wife, my girl, we were living together, girlfriend at the time, my wife, Margaret, told her at the time, I says, I think I'm done. She goes, you said that 1,000,000 times. Don't want to hear it. I said, I won't tell you again. So all of a sudden, a year comes around. I hadn't had a drink. She goes, and I did some things to help it out as well. But she goes, it's been a year. She goes, holy, You know what? Bro. I go, Margaret, I have not had one desire to go back to, like, it just cut off after 20 years. It took to get 11 years. I'm 11 years sober. It took 25, 30 years.
I got you.
So I'm not a first-time winner. I bang my head against the wall consistently, trying again, because I'm not a quitter.
Come on, bro.
This is
Ain't
something
no quitters around here.
But I had a spiritual awakening. Yes, that was monumental for me. That I say to this day, I'm blessed because I have never had the desire to drink again, and I haven't. And anybody wants, I always say this, I try to help kids once in a while, or younger kids that are going down the same path. I say, I have no magic formula. But I said, you better get some faith. You better get some belief in your system. Because I said, because this wasn't me, because I tried on my own a million times. Bro. I got on my hands and knees. I begged for some damn help. And
we got the same. We have a very similar story in relation to, because I was a binge drinker, and I only drank to get drunk. So I didn't like. Yes, I wasn't a casual drinker. I'm like everybody got a little different relationship with alcohol. So I'm in the same. I'm in the same way. It actually happened like right before I technically came to faith, because I wasn't born religious at all. I have no like spiritual upbringing, and listen, I'm sharing it. I'm about to 12-pack with my dog, and I just got arrested. And I'm like, I got to change my life. But first thing I'm gonna do is break open some beers, and that's the wild part about it is, I'm actually at her mom's house in the Bronx, hanging out with her brother. We go get some Coronas, and we was cool, black folk, back in the day, you get Coronas and lemon, whatever the rappers say that we do. Big shout out to Jadakiss, So, and we get to 12, I drink a beer, and it just didn't taste the same. And I never, and in my mind, I wasn't planning on not drinking, but I think my aunt invited me to church that weekend, and I never drank again. Never had the desire to drink. It's like,
amazing. You were younger, right? Like
yeah,
I had to bang my head against the wall till 45.
Hard. Yeah. You went hard, bro. I totally understand. But I remember.
Wish, that's my only regret, David, I wish I got it a little earlier.
Yeah.
And I tried hard, and I did have a ton of stretches, year and a half. 6 months of sobriety, but my career was so important to me.
Yeah.
But that's all regrets, and everything, like we say. No, hence the reason you got it earlier, and God bless you, because it's awesome. And I'm not saying there's only one way to. I never preached there's one way to get sober or not.
Heck no.
Whether it's, I'm just saying how it helped me, and having a little spiritual awakening and faith helped me.
It's a lot. It's a game changer because you're content with you. That's the most powerful part about Kenneth Daneyko is like, man, not only did I have this, I could actually wake up every day and not be disappointed in who I am and what I did.
You talk about who you hurt. We hurt everybody, our kids, our family, but I was disappointing. First and foremost, myself, because I have high standards for myself.
There you go.
Whether it was as an athlete, whether it was as a person, yet I couldn't understand. I wasn't getting this addiction thing.
I know.
How's it affecting me differently? Why when I drink to get drunk? Like every time. Like I'm not sitting there wanting a little glass sip of wine. I'm drinking to get drunk.
All the way there, bro. Take me to the moon.
You know what? To this day, my kids, a 20-year-old daughter, and I'm going to be a grandfather. In a couple months.
Big shout.
Not even a couple months. My daughter Taylor's having a baby. My son's 23, just graduated. And it always was even still pretty darn good when they were kids, but they knew a lot more about the nightlife than I thought, because we laugh about it now. We can laugh about
Thank God.
And our relationship is so close now, way closer, because they're as proud of this as Dad winning 3 Stanley Cup championships. Dad's present now, like completely present, not just there, because I'd be there a lot of the time. Yeah. But are you there? You know
it's what powerful, I mean? Bro. No, man. Number one, I really appreciate, because I'm all about like me, truth, transparency, transformation. When you kind of get free, and we don't talk about it to celebrate it. We talk about it because we know that people actually are having this struggle, and people want to win. They want to overcome. They need inspiration, and you actually have lived it. You've lived it in its worst. You've lived it at its highs. You've survived it, and
I still make tons of mistakes. I just and I continue to try, as we all do in life, get better. I just don't choose to drink anymore,
thank God.
Or using that as a crutch,
which I used to. Isn't that what your coaches tell you? Don't make the same mistake.
Yeah. I'm the most stubborn guy you'll ever meet. As a lot of us are as athletes, but I had to bang my head against the wall 100 times for go. yeah, you told me not to make them. I made the mistake 100 times. I'm ready now.
Well, it's cool to acknowledge that, you know, it's not always equal, right? When you're a Hall of Fame, iconic talent, or you're providing so much value, and people get, you know, people get in the fairness argument. When you're a big part of the reason why the franchise is winning 3 Stanley Cups, it's not like you're turning a blind eye. It's that this guy is so valuable to us, we're going to bear with him. And the reality is, in your heart at least, you're not trying to jack it up, right? Some people have the attitude where they're like literally trying to jack it up. Like, you know, it's like where they're brazen with it. It's like, yeah,
it killed me. I'd go home and get depressed or be down on myself and go, what am I doing? Because, number one, I had such respect for my organization.
Sure.
But I'm grateful because I had the right people in my organization that believed in me.
Man,
and I told you, from my first owner, John Mullen, to Lou Lamoriello, to the guys today.
Sure.
Watch how I represent the organization and be an ambassador, because I care for them.
Yeah.
Because they cared for me, all of them, even the guys now that didn't see that side of Ken Daneyko.
Yeah.
Our new ownership and our new executives, everybody.
Sure.
But they know the stories. They know, but they see my heart's been with that team is my family. Like, I've been with them forever.
Love it.
But I'm grateful that they stuck with me, because I don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
A lot of times they probably shouldn't.
Yeah. No, like just like I said, because some people, especially when we have, you know, not many people, number one, have your resume. I'm like, golly.
Thank you.
So and you know, you can stay humble and I can brag on you, because 20 years, you know, like, but the cool part is how you're deeply connected to how valuable that is to you, and recognizing, you know, because that's having full circle. And I want the guests to kind of tune in on that, because sometimes when we're in the moment, you're delivering so much value, you're so focused on what you've done and not focused on what other people have to either deal with, what opportunities are created. You know, when people want you around, that's something amazing, right? Just to be in that seat, man, and you've lived it.
To me, David, and I'll say this, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
And I don't say this just to say it, because the fans are everything. Like, and I know athletes change and everybody we take for granted. We got to focus on our jobs when you're playing.
Sure.
But even after all these years that my playing days are over, 2003, so 19 years now. And yeah, I'm doing the broadcast and still relate with the fans. But I used to think, like, why does that fan want a picture with me again, or why do they want another autograph? Because they probably got it 150 times. And I probably had a beer with all the fans that were in my generation. I probably had a beer with every one of them, because I was one of those guys that I love the fans. I love being with them. I haven't changed to this day, because you know what I realize? That person, if I get one tweet, because social media, or even something after where I took that extra picture, or I shook their hand, or I said hello after they reached out, they go, I've had so many people, I was going through a really bad day. You made my day. You know, that means something now. Like, in our own day, we're playing, we're caught up in our own world too much. So that's why, if I can help it, I never turn a fan down, because they are what made me. Their support they gave me through thick and thin, it means something. But I don't take that for granted now, that I forget they may be going through something we have no idea. And they look up to you so much, or they appreciate an athlete or a sports figure or a player from their team or something.
Sure.
That you put a smile on their face that day, it may change something way bigger than we don't even know what's going on in their life. I believe that.
No, so. you absolutely 100% living it, man. All right, so I want to think about, when you think about the evolution, I always like to think about the contrast, because now I'm looking at even the NFL game change, and we can speak candidly. It's a softer game. It's not as and to speak positively, it's a more finesse game. Hockey and football,
You're absolutely right?
The athletes are better, the training's better, all this other stuff.
Technology of everything.
That's technology. What are your feelings like? And I'm an old school, like, Grizzly mentality guy. So my mindset is of, when you talked about your brother punching in the basement, I'm like, I'm like, physical toughness.
That's not the kind of training I think they do anymore.
Physical toughness leads to mental toughness. Mental toughness leads to championship. So like, what's your take on that? And like I said, it's not about a bashing, but like I do have like this sadness deep down in me because, yeah, I want some savages who can be civil, but it's savages who
it's a
make
fine
the game.
line, right?
Yeah, right.
People ask me all the time, could you have played in today's era? You didn't skate well if you couldn't do this. I go, my era was my era.
Yeah.
It was more intimidating. That's the way we trained. We would have trained like the kids say. I would say I'm balanced now. First few years out, yeah, I started to miss some of it when the game had changed a little bit, more finesse, more skill. Now I love it. And I get why they did it, and I get why they're doing football where they've curbed some rules.
Oh,
they've
they have
curbed
to.
a ton of rules
They have to.
because we know so much more about the head, the brain, the brain injuries. So it's protect players at all costs, and I'm all for that. My era, though, don't get me wrong, I loved it because it wasn't that.
Yeah.
But having said that, that was my time. I'm grateful I got out relatively unscathed as far as health-wise, which some players didn't.
Truthfully.
So I respect the fact that they're protecting players at all costs.
Sure.
But the speed of the game, and I'm sure it's simple, has gone to a whole nother level. It's just 200 foot ice. There's not a lot of room to move up to. These guys are so skilled, so fast that these collisions at a high pace that they just don't allow you to hit the same way.
Yeah.
The fighting has kind of gone by the wayside on its own. They've curved it. There's no rule that you can't still, so I still like it once in a blue moon.
Sure.
But I don't need to see it as much. Like,
Got it.
But I loved it in my time. But long story short, I guess I've kind of got sane in my old age.
Yeah.
I look back at some old YouTube stuff of me or other players, like colleagues or players that play against. I'm going, we were nuts. We were certifiably nuts. And now I understand the transition and where the game's gone, and I love the skill level. So I'm really balanced with it. Like I tell people, I don't even compare eras because mine was my time. And I loved it.
No, it's good.
As crazy as it was. Today, I love watching how skilled these guys are, how incredible they are. And it's still a physical game to some respect, just not the craziness of
and for a guy who did, like, I'm telling you, I had like zero hockey. I told you, I'm like, it is the best. It's probably the best live experience. I've only been in 2 hockey games, but I mean, like, not having interest, of course, it's only, we get our token black guys in hockey. We get it, like it's always fun because they're dynamic though. Like, all the guys that choose to play the sport.
It's grown tremendously.
Yeah.
The Devils we do this hockey in Newark program where inner city kids.
Yeah, talk about because that's where all my family was in Newark, East Orange, and Montclair.
That is gratifying for me too. Like, we've had Hispanic kids, black kids come play, and they excel at it. They never would have been exposed to it because they never got an opportunity. Now some of them going, not only are they great athletes, but they like it, they love it, and it gives them an outlet. So we've really done a good job in our organization where Prudential is in Newark with the kids there. I love it. And watching them and how much that fun they have, and yes, it grows our game of hockey.
Yeah,
but
it's like I said, it was from a relatability standpoint, but it's actually one of the most impressive games to not just participate in live, but you actually guys are freaking on. When I think about the fact, because every game you go to the gym and you play floor hockey, right, and you feel like you're doing something. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, these jokers are on skates,
little thin blades.
Like, these jokers are
but
on.
I joke there. Everybody says, how'd you learn to skate so easy? I go, if you didn't come out of your mother's womb with a pair of skates on where I grew up in Canada and cold, you had nothing to do them.
That's fantastic.
So it's all relative.
Yeah.
Everybody excels at certain things. Hockey, hockey was everything in Canada. But I've loved, whether it's inner city, whether it's in the Southern Belt, hockey, our game's grown a lot.
That's fantastic.
And that's the grassroots programs like the National Hockey League and all the different teams in their communities, whether it's the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have had 6, Florida Panthers, Los Angeles, Dallas. Wayne Gretzky kind of made hockey a thing. Our legend, our Michael Jordan of hockey, or Wayne Gretzky, kind of now in the 80s made it an in thing. Hockey moved it up a tadpole because of who he was.
He was the only person that every black kid knew about. He's like, Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky. I'm like, okay, what does he do? But when you see the highlights, you find out real quick what the guy does. So you talked about cigars. I think this is like, what are some of the things that either interest you or inspire you and really keep you motivated. You're still close to the game. Like you said, you already talked about moving in the community, but who is Ken Daneyko? How do those things express themselves?
Wow, that's a good. I like the question. That's deep. For my leisure time now, I'm hockey through and through. I can talk 24/7 hockey.
I love it.
In the summer, during it never leaves you. I bleed Devils red and black because I've been with them for 40 years. This year. And in fact, this weekend, I say this again humbly, which I was very surprised, but I'm grateful. They're honoring me at one of the games on the weekend to kind of celebrate 40 years of being with one organization. Amazing. I'm proud of that. It gives me goosebumps not because I don't need any pats in the back and accolades and stuff anymore. It's more about I am proud that I've been able to stay with one team this long. They've respected me. They've been loyal to me. I've respected them. I've been loyal to them. And it's for the fans to get an opportunity to just.
Now, when is this? Because I need to be there.
Understand Sunday at 2:00 game coming up against the Columbus Blue Jackets. But it's Ukrainian Heritage Night. My roots are Ukrainian and all the horrific stuff going on in Ukraine. So I like that it's part of it's coincides.
It's all coming together
because that is my roots. My kids went there a few years ago and to see their culture and
tremendous.
So just a lot of good things in that day. Sure. But for me, what it's about is the fans are going to clap and celebrate, and a guy that's been there a long time. A lot of the fans weren't born in my playing days, but it's about me being able to thank them and say thank you for the support over the years and the Devils organization for them to recognize it. It's beyond heartwarming to me. It really is that. They're just saying, you've been here 40 years, we're going to have a night for you. They retired my number. They've had nights, and they did some things that, blow my mind the night. But this is like, I'm going, really, you guys? I go, you know what? Thank you.
It's just humbling, right?
It's humbling.
I tell people all the time.
That 40 years that went quick, maybe it does mean something.
Yeah. Well,
because we all want to feel good about giving our heart and soul for one team and one organization.
Well, this is what a lot of athletes really struggle with when they don't have those kinds of connections. Mm-hmm. And man, kudos to the Devils for getting it right and honoring your 40-year title, because it's relationships, right? When you give your life to something, and you feel like
you get what you give, kind of a deal.
Yeah,
right? You realize that when you're done more.
You live the dream, but especially with a team and a relationship, man, that warms my heart. And I got a great relationship with the New York Football Giants. I got a chance to work in the front office up until 2020. It didn't end well. I'll say that much. It didn't end well, but
that's why I am so grateful, because I know I don't take any of that for granted, because you never know. Special. Right, from one day to the next, right?
And
what transpires?
And no one owes you nothing in life.
Nobody owes you nothing.
And that's what's special, man.
You asked me quickly, and
go for it.
I hate cutting you out, but because I'm trying to go back to your original question. What do I enjoy? I enjoy golf. It's the most humbling sport in the world. I play a lot in the off season. I play in a lot of golf charities.
Yeah.
I play in O.J. Anderson's golf charity. I play in Mariano Rivera's sometimes. There are different athletes that we help each other out. Joe Torre's all the time.
Nice.
Because you're giving back. And we're getting to play golf. I mean, obviously that's a lot of fun. But I'm one of those guys, I can't get any better. It stinks because it's such a great game, but it's a difficult game.
It is.
I love that. I'll have my odd cigar on the course because that's relaxing to me. Yeah. That's one of my last vices that I say I got to watch too. But it's better than a lot of the other things I did. So I did, and kids, even though they're adults, they're still they act like little kids still. That's guys know that. You have a big wide range of ages.
20 to 9.
Like, they still need you, and I can be there for them. And those are the great. Those are some of the things.
Bro, you're literally an inspiration, man. I can't wait to get you, hang out with you a little bit more, knowing that we share this.
We got to go to dinner,
bro.
We live pretty around the corner.
Randolph. I'm in Dover. We're in Randolph. This is a Jersey vibe. This is special. So man, I can't thank you enough, because I'll be going on, like me and we got the Jersey. We talk. That's what we do. So you fit in. We talk. We're gonna live. We're gonna be real. We're gonna be gritty. But ultimately, you're a legend, and I honor you as a man, because this is one of our first true interactions. But I honor you as a man for your story and how you've overcome as a champion. So I want to thank you, man. Ken, you're A1. Any last words or anything that you want to share with the audience And like I said, hopefully this thing will steamroll.
Just was a pleasure being on with you, man. And I love Jersey through and through. And
Special.
Born and raised here, but this is great. It was a lot of fun. You know what happens too sometimes. You take your time out. You do, whether it's podcasts or interviews or whatever. But one like this, that it was so relaxing for me, and it really brings back. You reminisce, and it brings back the good, the bad, the indifferent, and understanding why I'm. It's healthy for me. You know what I mean? When we go back on certain times to remind. Yeah, there was a lot of good. There was a lot of bad, but I don't want to go back to that other side. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm grateful to come out, guys like you that just you're a lot of fun, but you're real and
brother,
it really
it's life.
You can really understand it, and I'll go on forever too because I can talk like anybody. And sometimes because it's old things come in your head and go, oh yeah, I remember that. You wanna go on, but if I interrupt too much, I apologize. Part 2. I'm messing around with my co-host, messing around with Ken Daneyko. I had you as my co-host for a season. But it was really a pleasure being on with you and your audience. Like I'm grateful. I'm glad you asked me on because
truly, bro,
it brought a lot of good, goosebumps, some great stuff that goes on through your body. Your
story's powerful.
And the tears of when things were tough at times, you know what I mean? But you overcome it. That's what it's about. We pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off. That's what I would relay to your audience. People that are going through tough times in life, it's all relative. You dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and you move forward.
That's why we're here, man.
One foot ahead in front of the other.
That's why that's the moment, folks. That's the moment that's here for you. Ken Daneyko is a legend. I want to thank him for having on. But listen, this story is inspirational. It's still going. There's still new chapters being added to it. But ultimately, you're talking about resilience, being an overcomer, a 3-time champion in his craft. But ultimately, his life lends to one that will continue to lay an impact everywhere he goes, even especially in the Great Garden State. So I want y'all to continue to check in, YouTube, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We'll see you next week and catch some more. My brother.